Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So a new Quinnipiac poll was released this week, and it really tells us everything we need to know about why Republican lawmakers seem to be just indoctrinated into a mind-controlling cult. It also proves that progressives were right when they warned everyone about electing Joe Biden and a Biden presidency. So here's the deal. Of nearly 1,400 adults that were surveyed, the majority of Americans do not want Donald Trump to run for president again. That's the good news. But Republicans overwhelmingly want to see the Orange Führer back on the campaign trail. According to this poll, which was conducted between October 15th and 18th, 58% of all Democrats, Republicans, and independents combined that were surveyed said that they don't want Trump to run in 2024. That's compared to 35% of the respondents who said, yes, we still want Trump as a candidate. However, if you break it down by party, Trump's popularity for a 2024 candidate has increased. It has grown. Here's how it breaks down. 94% of Democrats say no, absolutely do not want Trump to run. No big surprise there. 58% of independents agree with that sentiment and said, no, we don't want Trump. But only 16% of Republicans hope that Trump will sit it out. A whopping 78% want him to take another swing at the White House. 78%, guys. And that number has increased since May of this year. So people have had a few months to think about it, and they're like, yeah, I think I'd like to have him back. So in a poll back in May, only 66% of the Republicans that they surveyed said they wanted Trump. It's jumped 12%. Now, keep in mind that the percentage could be affected based on how many people have left the party. We do know that Republicans have left the party this year. They're disgusted by what they're seeing and hearing, and they have left. So, people who no longer identify as Republican reduces the number of sane people, of rational anti-Trump people in the party, right? So obviously, if all that's left are the diehard pro-January 6th MAGA supporters, then the percentage of those who approve of Trump would naturally increase. What I found most disturbing, though, was when asked how Donald Trump affected democracy or has affected democracy since the 2020 election, the margins are far more narrow than that candidacy question. So only 51% of the people polled said that since the 2020 election, Trump has undermined democracy. 39% said that he's actually protecting democracy. To that 39%, I say, put the crack pipe down. Back away from the crack pipe, boys and girls. Seriously. And only 57% of respondents believe that Trump bears either a lot or some of the responsibility for what happened on January 6th. Let me say that again. Only 57% say that he is somewhat or fully responsible for January 6th. That is pathetic, given the amount of evidence that's out there showing how he, not just January 6th evidence, I'm talking the months and months that preceded January 6th, showing that he and his ghouls whipped all these people into a frenzy, telling them fairy tales about a stolen election. Clearly, there are some people, a lot of people, who they may not like Trump. They may not think that he's the best candidate to win, but they're clearly, obviously, not paying attention to everything that he and his people have done since the election. Now, here's what Democrats, need to be paying attention to that I'm not sure that they are. In regard to a favorable and unfavorable rating, Biden and Trump are essentially tied. Biden's approval rating, and this is not just based on this one poll, this is an average of polls. This is an aggregate that I've seen on numerous sites. His poll numbers have plummeted. But in regard to this poll, 38% have a favorable opinion of Biden, and 50% say they have an unfavorable opinion of Biden. Trump in this poll has a 39% favorable opinion compared to 52% unfavorable. So he even has a 1% lead favorable compared to Biden. That's ridiculous. That is pathetic. If that doesn't wake Democrats up and make them realize that they need to get their asses in gear and actually do something, anything for average American citizens, I don't know what's going to wake them up. And here's the thing that pisses me off about this. Recently, I heard journalists talking, and honestly, I can't remember where it was, what show it was, because I watch so many shows, I listen to so many podcasts. I can't remember, but they were saying that Black men and women in particular are extremely frustrated by Biden. They're extremely frustrated that he hasn't followed through on some of his promises. And some were quoted as saying, oh, it doesn't matter who I vote for. It doesn't matter whether you vote for a Republican or a Democrat. Neither party takes care of average Americans. None of them makes any real or substantial changes. First of all, yes, it does. It does matter who's in control, Democrats or Republicans, because right now the fate of women controlling their own bodies is hanging in the balance. A lot of things are hanging in the balance. But what really pisses me off about this is that during the election, after James Clyburn, the other corporate sellout, put his full weight behind Biden, and Biden was able to put his first W on the board, all we heard was, we know Biden. We know who Biden is. Really? That was their first mistake. And progressives like myself kept trying to tell everyone that. We kept saying that Biden is no different than a Republican. We told you this was going to happen. Yes, it doesn't matter what party you cast your vote for if your choices are between two corporate-controlled, elite-loving conservatives like Trump or Biden. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Voters had an opportunity to get the change that they need and the change that they desire. But it required that they vote for someone and something different. Biden ain't it. He is not the change that you want to see in this world. We said that from the beginning. Hell, he even said it during the campaign, during the primary. There was video out there. There was audio, I think at least, of him meeting with his wealthy campaign donors behind closed doors at a high-priced fundraiser. And he said with his own mouth to them, nothing will fundamentally change. As Maya Angelou always said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. He said it. Nothing in Biden's history would ever predict or portend radical change or aid to people in need. As a senator, he was known as the congressman from MBNA, a bank, not the congressman who steps up for the poor and the most fragile in our country. The fact that nothing is getting done and nothing is changing is not the fault of Republicans entirely. Regardless of how despicable and self-serving they are and how they've blocked as much as they can. This lack of change and progress lies at the feet of the Democrats and ultimately Biden. Democrats have tools at their disposal right now. They're just unwilling to use them. They either don't want to, or they just don't know how to govern. I'm sorry. They don't have to do or not do what the parliamentarian suggests. The parliamentarian is not an elected official. Just as Trump did, Biden could fire the parliamentarian and replace the existing parliamentarian, with someone who is more amenable to the Democratic agenda, if it's truly their agenda. They could give everyone health care right now. They could use rules surrounding public health crisis, like COVID, for instance, to provide health care to every American. They could abolish the filibuster, or at least change it, and pass their entire agenda. They could protect women's rights. They could protect voting rights. They could implement changes to protect us from climate change, which is the number one threat. They could provide families with free childcare, paid family leave. They could provide child's tax credits indefinitely. They could do everything that they claim that they want to do, everything that they claim is their agenda. But again, is it really their agenda, or are they just talking? Are they just patting us all on the heads and then doing what their corporate donors want? Biden could publicly pressure the fake corporate-owned Democrats, such as Manchin and Sinema and Gottheimer, into getting on board. But he hasn't, and he won't. That's his job. It's not the job of Bernie Sanders or Pramila Jayapal to twist the arms of these traitors. It's Biden's job. So before you say, oh, it doesn't matter who you vote for, which party you vote for, just remember, it does matter, but it matters more in the primary, who you cast your vote for, not just the party, but who in that party. The oldest definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So stop with the insanity. Stop voting for the same type of politician and expecting a different result. If you're going to keep voting for the same old compromised candidates, you can expect the same old lack of results. Start voting for representatives, for candidates who actually give a damn about we the people. People like Bernie Sanders, who have never done anything other than to work for the people, and who isn't financed by corporations who work against we the people. When you start doing that, when you start voting for people who actually only take money from us, we will start getting results. Biden's entire campaign was financed by the corporate world, by the wealthy and elites. Who do you think he's going to work for? It's not rocket science, people. Seriously. So yeah, next time, I don't want to hear that, oh, we have to get on board. Vote blue no matter who. Clearly, that gets us nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. So anyway, guys, as I hear more, I'll let you know. But right now, yeah, this is not looking good at all for the midterms or 2024. Now, with Trump in the mix, that's something that we've never experienced before. That could change the results. But overall, historically, midterm elections do not go for the party in charge. Add on top of that, all of the election suppression bills, the voter suppression bills, and the gerrymandering that they've been allowed to get away with because Democrats refused to do what was necessary, step up and grow a pair of ovaries and enact their For the People Act and abolish the filibuster to do that, we're screwed. Anybody on the left is screwed. That's the way it's looking. Again, Trump is in the mix. We've got COVID, all kinds of things that we've never seen before, domestic terrorism on the rise. That all plays a part, but you can't get around the numbers. You can't get around these bills that are being passed and the gerrymandering that's being undertaken. It's just, it is so slanted, even if every Democrat, every left-leaning person and anti-Trump Republicans came out to vote, it would likely not do any good. That's where we're at because Democrats won't grow a pair. So anyway, I'll talk with you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care.